Alright, welcome to episode 44, 43, 45. I never know these episodes of What is Civilization. I'm so bad at this. Started over. In the last episode, we had one major event and a couple of the smaller ones. But the major event, obviously, was the creation of the Holy Polish Empire Union, which I'm just going to call the Polish Empire. It theoretically could be the new Polish Empire, but meh. It's just the Polish Empire. That's provinces, not what I was looking for. Power rankings, quite interesting because the Polish country is now the third most powerful nation on Earth, taking over the spot of the Southern Indians, who are now in fourth. Spain is still number one, Turkey is number two. You can also see the Polish have taken over the old German colony here in Nova Scotia, or whatever this part of Canada is called, or New England, kind of. Korea still in fifth, well, no, it's new now. Bengal is in sixth, Orange China in seventh, Mesopotamia's fallen to eighth, Indigo country in ninth, and Finland is now in 10th. More wars and things, and let's start off with a war up here in the north, because Northern Europe has actually been quite important recently. But the country we're going to be looking at is Sweden. Not too long ago, Sweden declared war on this reddish Arctic country, who then moved their capital over here to southern Greenland as the Swedes just lost support in this war. Support is pretty important though, because this reddish country has decided that being with Sweden is better than being in this country. So there's lots of support for actually just joining the Swedish nation now. So when Sweden declares war again, when the people are like, you know what, actually that was a good idea, it goes a lot better. They pretty easily capture the capital of the southern island, and in fact the rest of the Greenland colony, just falls away. There's nothing on Baffin Island, so they just take this southern bit, and that's that entire place done. They land in the northern area, but that's kind of irrelevant, and instead just take both these major cities, make a landing here on, Prince Edward Island, and in not too long, the entire place will capitulate over to the Swedish forces, and following that event, I was meant to get a new brush, and then it didn't do that. We see the entire area fall over to the Swedish, as the Swedish now officially really become an empire. The Swedish now span the entirety of this Arctic northern part of the world, and they've revived what the Danes once had. I mean, they haven't got Newfoundland, but they're basically like a new version of the Danish Empire, which, I mean, the Danes still exist, so yeah, they probably feel a bit sad about that. But pretty quickly, these Swedes, oh my god, what is my voice? These Swedes will carry on the Danish legacy, expanding the colony down southwards and also just around this entire general Quebec area, so that looks slightly better perhaps. They also expanded into the central bit just because I wanted to look nicer, but the conditions for living here have got slightly better with the Swedish taking over this area, but not amazingly better, just because it's not that easy to live up here, especially in the 1700s. Another thing to note is the Industrial Revolution has just begun in Spain. Begun in the Spanish country, and it's now spread over to areas like Turkey, Poland, and some of these other Western European countries, such as Britain or England. It's not Britain yet. Yet? What do you mean yet? And also Ireland, which I guess could eventually become Britain also. So they are able to use the new industrial might that they're gathering to further their expansionist policies, I suppose. Going down to the Dutch, they also are starting to do new things like that. They're probably kind of similar to real life in that they care more about trade than industrialization, which caused Belgium to get created. So we've already got Belgium anyway, so we can't do that. They can get a Frisia though instead. Anyway, going over to this area of the world, I joked in a previous episode about Sweden. This is not Sweden. Finland colonizing Svalbard. Well, in today's episode, it's not a joke. Finland has taken over all of Svalbard, and all the islands up there, so pretty cool for them, but doesn't really bring them many benefits. The other event happening in the Druidic block area, which is just this general sort of bit right here, without Kirov and the Blue Country. This is Kirov. It's a part of Russia, so I just called it that. We see the Latvian country have a union again, but now with this purplish country. It's kind of because they're just afraid of the Polish. The Polish are very scary. They just magically became the third most powerful country in the world, and the Latvians and their allies on their border are kind of afraid that they might just get invaded by Poland and lose everything. So they're going to unite and that's probably quite a good idea. Also, I don't know why this is here, or this, or this. Why are there just those random blobs everywhere of color? Get gone. Alright, cool. Now let's head over to India. That's Korea, definitely not India. Because it's time for another war, and this time it's going to be Bengal who starts the war in India. Not too long ago, we saw the red Southern Indian country invade the yellow country, which is kind of just like this area. However, that's not what's happening today. We see Bengal start an invasion today, which is a very rare thing. I think they really only ever started wars, or they only ever joined wars against countries who are attacking their allies. So it's kind of crazy what they're doing today. I think the only time they've ever started a war was when they started a war against the Thailand country. That was kind of justified. It was like a continuation of a previous war that Thailand had. But pretty quickly, Bengal captured 3 major cities. They surround this area, but it's taken very quickly. They can actually finally get like most of real-life Bengal. They start to very quickly snake along the coast until eventually the Red Southern Indian Team Alliance thing will also invade. So the Red Team sends their forces across the border very quickly, taking 1 major city and advancing towards the capital. Bengal really needs that, so they're going to withdraw a couple of troops from up here, but it really doesn't mean anything because there's a lot of people in this country, and Bengal will take the capital city of this nation. Up here in the north, we see the Green Country, an ally of the Red Team, of course, move into all this territory, and at this point, Odisha, which is this part of India, where this nation is just collapsing. So the Southern Indians send their forces out around this lake and take the remaining major city, capitulating the country, and now we can look at a peace treaty where this place will be divided up. So, poor old Odisha nation. Oh, the poor old Green Team. Their borders are going to be so bad. It's going to be so horrible what this country looks like. They look like a cool Stegosaurus thing before this. Oh, no, that would look even worse. We just annex the entire territory. But we can give them all of this strange panhandle bit, so that'll be good. Look a bit like Namibia, maybe. And now we can go over to this area, where we see the Southern Indians take quite a lot of territory, since they actually capitulated the country. So they are allowed to have a lot of stuff. I could not talk there for a second. So there is their territory, and the Bengali country takes all this eastern stuff, which is still pretty valuable, and they get the stuff that they really wanted, which was all this territory. But now they also have a border on the Southern Indians, which is, the other main point they were looking for. And there you go. So tensions very high over here. All 4 of these countries are, of course, in their own Cold War thing, and a new country is going to be introduced as we can go over to the alliance map, which I can definitely find. And we need to grab... Okay, silly Bengal. So we need to grab the Bengali alliance because they will be adding a new nation, and it's this nation right up here. I think this is the area of Bihar in India. I don't know. That's what I call this country in my mind. They have a few major cities. They won the previous war against the Persians in episode 30. They are also a council, which is a big reason for why they joined this alliance. All of the current Bengali allies are councils, which makes sense, because Bengal is like the figurehead for being a council country. Let's get rid of that nation as well. Also, I think we're only down to like 2 aristocracies now. 1 in Laos and 1 in Central Asia, because, this country is now gone. The proud Greenland nation has been deleted. Yeah, we're just down to this country and Laos. That's kind of sad for aristocracies. Anyway, tensions have risen up here in India now. This country is definitely going to change a lot of things because Southern India, I can talk, and Bengal aren't too different in power, but, this greenish country is not that strong really at all. They're definitely stronger than the blue country, who has very few major cities, but the pink country would steamroll both of them if they tried, even if these 2 tried to team up against them, they'd still both lose. Actually, that would probably look alright on the map. See, that looks fine, but if you separate them, that's horrible. Anyway, let's head over here to the Turkish country, because they are a bit depressed. The Southern Indians... What? The Spanish, not the Southern Indians, have recently taken over their spot as the #1 most powerful country on Earth. which Turkey held. You know, they went to war with the Bulgarians and the Greeks and the Libyans. They got a whole lot of power and money, and they're like, we're set. We're the best guy there is. And now Spain just took that position from them. And it looks like Spain is growing at a faster rate than they are, so they need to do something to gain a bit more power and become the strongest again. But who can they attack? Who's going to give them enough money and power to move them up a position, to the first position? Well, Mesopotamia is going through a bit of a civil war sort of thing. Why not attack them? So that's exactly what the Turkish country will do, like they did a few episodes ago, they will declare war on the Mesopotamian nation. And there really isn't a whole lot that Mesopotamia can do. You know, they lose this major city, and all the ones around Turkey that are near the border are protected, as we see this one. The Turkish move out in the north and take this major city, and also start an invasion to capture another right here in the center. Random exclave things captured, don't know what that's about. But the main point of interest for the Turkish is to expand down the coast, and the Mesopotamians will realize that and try to protect those areas. So they pass by the Dead Sea and take that area pretty quickly. They're moving towards the Sinai Peninsula. They want to stop supplies being able to get into the Mesopotamian country. But, Mesopotamia tries to rally its people with conscription, so that doesn't go great. There's a lot of angry religions and stuff in this country. As you can see, there's some Hijaz stuff. There's also ethnicities that aren't properly dealt with. And there's just lots of really unhappy people who don't feel like the state is doing a good job at running this area. So the Mesopotamians, with conscription, do manage to push back against some of these areas, but not that well. They take another major city, or one major city, and they invade towards Turkish territory. However, the thing to note here is Turkey's definitely a lot stronger than Mesopotamia, so they ready themselves and start to try and trap these soldiers over here. Mesopotamia will attempt to withdraw and get all of its troops out, most of which just like random people. However, they're unsuccessful and those people are slaughtered or captured. This is a major military loss, and it just shows the people of Mesopotamia that they do not have the right government, monarchy. Yeah, you're a monarchy. So are you. So is literally everyone in this area. Most people are monarchies. They don't have the right king, and they need someone better to rule them, or just nobody. So the Turkish have a lot easier time since they've made that major military victory. They move around, protecting more areas of their country, and in fact they have troops across all of their border now. There you go. They definitely had that before. And this means that if they're going to get attacked in their home areas, the Mesopotamians have to fight through their territory first. Another country who previously joined a war that Turkey was in against Libya, the Egyptians will also join the war. They invade towards this city, I don't know what it's called in real life, and one down the southern part of the Sinai Peninsula, and they do a very good job of pushing through here. They occupy this city where there were some people trying to fight from, using it as a major military base, but they do a very good job at just fighting around this general area, and now Turkey can focus its military on the Mesopotamian capital area. The trade routes are here, and they're going to use this sort of road that they've got to try and push towards the capital. They take this major city, and there's nothing in this bit of desert, so that's alright. How the Mesopotamians start to collapse. It's kind of sad, really, just how bad it's going for the Mesopotamians, but it is what it is. We see rebellions pop up here in the south. Don't know if I'm going to use this color because there's a lot of similar colors in this area. Hijaz is not being brought back, don't worry. But kind of mean if I brought back the Hijaz nation. But these rebellions start to pop up, and in not too long, we see the Turkish capture the capital city of Mesopotamia and the remaining other city of the Mesopotamian nation. So now we need to look at a peace treaty and what happens to the remnants of the Mesopotamian nation, because are they even going to be able to exist following the war? Egypt has a pretty simple peace treaty where I'm just going to give them all the stuff here in the Sinai Peninsula, because why not? Add a bit extra. Because also, why not? So they get all of this territory, that's pretty good. And the Turkish will of course be taking over the entire Mesopotamian coastline. So they will expand all the way up to this point, but also pretty far inland as well. Why not? Just grab yourself some more territory, I guess. Mesopotamia is not really fighting for itself, and in fact, a bit like how the Swedish encountered up in the Arctic areas, people here are realizing that maybe Turkey is the country that they want to be under, and Turkish rulership instead of Mesopotamian ones, as the Turkish country has proven itself to be a lot more successful than the Mesopotamian one, and that's why people are kind of going, maybe we should just accept this country as our leaders instead of the Mesopotamian one. So yeah, it's not looking great for the Mesopotamian kings, as those guys are overthrown, exiled, or they're banished, or they lose their positions of power. Not great stuff if you're a king, but there you go. Here are the new borders of Mesopotamia. That is, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's okay, just not great. I don't know. I'm not a professional person at drawing borders because these look meh. Anyway, we need to divide up the rest of this country because it's definitely not staying together. First off, we're going to draw out this country. It's going to exist kind of where Jordan is. So they gain a whole absolutely nothing. Apparently this area is just full of desert and no cities. So that's kind of funny. On this map it just shows none anyway. So the new Jordanian country has all this territory. Meh. It's alright, I suppose. Going over to the southern area, there's a big secessionist movement down here. We're going to make some sort of dark blue country for this area, I think. Let's give them a lot of these massive provinces around here. This could be like a greater Kuwait country. There's no Iraq, really. Or will there be Iraq, maybe? I suppose there probably will be an Iraq. Mesopotamia is kind of Iraq anyway. So yeah, here's a massive country right over. Oh my gosh. Would you just like to accept the borders I've given you, maybe? That'd be good. So they have all this stuff. It looks alright on the border of this bluish country down here. But now we just need to do a final few divisions for the remaining area of Mesopotamia. And I think it doesn't look great. The borders of this nation are meh. They're okay, I suppose. I did not mean to zoom in that much, sorry about that. But we'll make a pinkish country here in the south. This is kind of just one carved up by the Turkish. I don't think anyone really wants to have a country made in this area because it's really hard to live here. So there's that country. And now for the final remaining area of Mesopotamia, which is going to kind of, okay, no. It's going to get overthrown and replaced by a new Mesopotamian government who promises to give a better life for the people. Will the old Mesopotamian nation return? I don't know. Maybe. But the Turkish have officially just changed everything here in Mesopotamia and also given themselves a load of power and new trading partners and just useful stuff. So, looking at capital cities, all these countries need a capital, so the pink team puts theirs in their only city. Jordan puts theirs nowhere near Amman, which is like up here, and their real life capital. Kuwait will put theirs over here, and the yellowish country keeps theirs in the old Mesopotamian capital city, of course. Yeah, Turkey has now passed over the Spanish nation. They are now the new most powerful country in the world. And these hostilities between these two countries, but also other European blocs, will continue to grow. You know, other European blocs in like the Druidic, oh come on man, the Druidic area or the triangle sort of Western European influential sphere. Maybe we'll see something with Northern Europe, like Poland or Sweden, or maybe Eastern Europe, that's kind of just Turkish anyway. Mesopotamia's got a ton of countries, however it will be losing one just here, as after a long time, this probably should have happened a while ago, these two countries, which are both theocracies, will unite together. So the yellowish country was carved out by Mesopotamia and the indigo country after the collapse of Hejaz. You know, look at the religion map. You can see that it's been entirely turned into the Mesopotamian religion, which is mostly due to effort by the Omanese country. They are very theocratic. They do not like the Hejaz religion, and for that reason they've gone and purged all of the Hejaz people from this area, but there's still some around in these three countries. Kind of cool if they united. I don't know. There's some really strange borders in Mesopotamia. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and comment things you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye.